This lesson is going to cover nutrition-related diseases. One thing to think about with obesity is hunger versus appetite. Hunger is more of that internal physiological drive to find and eat food, whereas appetite is more external, or the psychological cues that encourage us to eat, and they're often in the absence of hunger. That's why it's so easy to find room for dessert, even when we think we're really full after a meal. One key part of appetite regulation is satiety. Satiety is the state of fullness, and it occurs after a meal, and it's how long before we feel hungry again. Macronutrients have a different impact on satiety, and a big part of that is with hormones. One of the hormones is insulin, and that's released in response to carbohydrate intake. Cholecystokinin, or CCK, slows down the emptying of the stomach, and it's influenced by fat and protein intake. Ghrelin is called the hunger hormone and is impacted by both carbohydrate as well as protein intake. Palatable food is food that has been described as acceptable or very pleasant to taste. Some common ingredients with palatable food is fat, sugar, and salt. And when these are in foods, and especially combined, they can override the hunger and satiety signals, which can lead to overeating of these types of foods. With type 2 diabetes, there's not one diet that works for everyone, but striving for a healthy weight can improve the disease management. And while the macronutrient distribution can still be in the ranges of the acceptable macronutrient distribution range, or the AMDR, adjustments can be made based on blood sugar regulation. It's important that there is an individual assessment of eating patterns, preferences, as well as the metabolic goals. The Mediterranean diet is one diet that can be used with type 2 diabetes. And if you think about the Mediterranean, it's a really broad term because it's a large region with a lot of countries in it. And the diet isn't just about eating a certain type of food or a couple of types of food. It's really a lifestyle. So it's also part of enjoying meals with family and friends, as well as being physically active. Emphasis is on fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, and seeds. And it's considered to be what's called a plant-based diet. And that means that the meals are centered around plant foods instead of meat products. Healthy fats are also an emphasis, and one big source of them is olive oil because of the high monounsaturated fat content. Also, nuts and seeds are a great source of the monounsaturated fats, and fatty fish, which contains those great omega-3 fatty acids. The fats that are avoided are trans fats and saturated fats. Dairy products and eggs, fish, and poultry are consumed in low to moderate amounts, and very little red meat is eaten. Wine, preferably red, is consumed in low to moderate amounts. That's one part of the diet that seems to get a lot of attention. Other foods that are avoided are added sugars, processed meats, and also refined grains and refined oils. Similar to other chronic diseases, obesity increases the risk of hypertension and cardiovascular disease. It can either be prevented, improved, or reduced if a healthy weight is maintained, or if overweight, even if a modest weight loss occurs. In addition to the Mediterranean diet, there's also the D.A.S.H diet, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. So the D.A.S.H diet is rich in fruits and vegetables, low-fat or non-fat dairy, and it also includes mostly whole grains, lean meats, fish and poultry, and nuts and meat. If you're looking at like a 2,000 calorie a day diet, the number of servings for whole grains would be about 6 to 8 ounces a day. Fruits would be 4 to 5 servings, and vegetables would also be 4 to 5 servings. Dairy, both being low-fat or non-fat, is approximately about 2 to 3 servings a day, and for the lean meat and poultry, it's no more than about 6 ounces. And then nuts, seeds, and legumes for the 2,000 calorie a day diet would be somewhere about 4 to 5 servings a week. So how do fats and oils play a role with the D.A.S.H diet? It's recommended that there's no more than 30% of the daily calories from fat. There's also an emphasis on those healthy monounsaturated fats, and trans fats and saturated fats are limited in addition to sugar, sweets, and alcohol. With cancer, there's the impact of the disease itself, which can lead to weight loss as well as loss of muscle mass. But then there's also the side effects that can happen with the treatments. Some of the side effects impact both intake of food as well as beverage. There can be some things such as fatigue or nausea and vomiting. There can be dry mouth or mouth sores, changes in swallowing, and also changes in taste and smell. So with maintaining a healthy weight with cancer, instead of weight loss, it's typically going to be weight maintenance or even putting on a little weight. Part of the recommendations are for really energy and nutrient-dense foods. Because there can be a decrease in appetite sometimes, getting the most out of the foods they can take in is important. And there's a lot of recommendations, but each person is a little bit different, and so it can take a little bit of experimenting to see what works best. So what's an important goal with osteoporosis? It's to prevent further loss in bone density. And so part of a balanced diet needs to include optimal calcium and vitamin D intake, because those are critical for bone health. A few other nutrients that play a big role are magnesium and potassium and vitamin C as a few examples. There's actually some things in the diet that can interfere with calcium absorption. One of those is phytic acid that's found in some beans and seeds and grains, and also oxalic acid that's in spinach and other leafy green vegetables. High levels of sodium can interfere with calcium retention, and also alcohol, when consumed in larger amounts, can also increase bone loss. So let's sum it up. A healthy weight is important with management of chronic diseases. A few diets that can be helpful are the Mediterranean diet as well as the D.A.S.H diet. Cancer has an impact not only because of the disease, but also with the side effects. And key nutrients for bone health are important with osteoporosis. We love you guys. Go out and be your best self today. And as always, happy nursing.